Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a disturbing nature.
And we're not going to hold back on the graphic details and disturbing content.
So we do not recommend our podcast for children under the age of 13.
And while we respect the victims and their families involved in these tragic cases,
we're also going to be critical of mistakes that are made during the investigations.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So with that said, this podcast may not be for everyone.
And that's okay. We're glad you're here checking us out.
And if you've made it this far, welcome to the Unsung Murder Ballads family. And follow us on Instagram at Unsung Murder Ballads if you want to talk to us.
Hey everybody, before we get started, we just want to let you know that we're going to be taking next week off. So we'll see you in 2 weeks after this episode, so don't panic if you don't see anything in a week. Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 112. I am Janus Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
Alrighty, so this is an episode I almost did like 2 months ago. And
oh, wow. Okay.
I decided not to do this one because we were going to do, I planned to do one for Christmas, like an episode that, the Christmas shooting, killing spree one. Yes. And because this one took place around Thanksgiving, I was going to do it for Thanksgiving, but then I'm like, I'm not going to torture our listeners by making them listen to two horrible holiday murders.
Every holiday being something devastating.
Yeah, so I decided to hold off, but now we're going to do this one here. So this one's fucked up, as they all are.
I was going to say, there's not many that aren't.
Yeah, there are some that
sometimes
are pretty...
they're special.
Yeah, sometimes they're, we've done some historical ones, which are cool, like the Hatfields and McCoys and Billy the Kid. We've done some that are less heavy, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
True.
This one, like last week's with the girl in the foster care that killed her foster mother, this one's similar to that in that it's not quite a normal, straightforward murder. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just dive right in. So
let's do it.
It was just after Thanksgiving in 2009, and 10-year-old Sean was cleaning some old coins that he had found, and he was cleaning them in the kitchen with his mother. The two of them stood at the sink when a man entered through the back door, holding a rifle, and shot his mother.
Holy hell.
Sean ducked down and ran as fast as he could out the back door.
Smart kid.
He ran around to the front, hoping that he could get back inside and get to a phone. As he carefully opened the door, he heard more shots being fired. Then he saw the man. It was his father.
Oh.
So Sean closed the door, and he ran to a neighbor's house to get help instead.
How old's this kid again?
10 years old. So this is the case of the Kahler family.
Wow.
Yeah,
sad already. This poor kid has to watch his mother die.
There's a bit more. There's a couple conflicting reports as to exactly what happened in that moment when his father came in the kitchen there. But we'll go into those differences when we get to that point in the story. But this is fucked up. This is fucked up on a lot of levels. So the Kahler family was made up of James, who went by his middle name Craig, and his wife Karen, as well as their two daughters, Emily and Lauren, and their son Sean. Now this is one of those cases where everyone has the same last name, so to avoid confusion, I will refer to Scumbag Craig by his first name.
Fuck you, Scumbag Craig.
Fucking Scumbag Craig. So Craig was in his last year of college getting his engineering degree at Kansas State University when he met Karen, who was in her first year. They were both very ambitious people, they were bright students, and they had a lot in common. Friends of theirs said that they were the couple that everyone tried to live up to, which is an interesting thing to say because in my young adulthood, a lot of my friends were starting families younger. And I remember looking at some of them and being envious of the way they interacted and how they were building their families up. And what I find interesting is that now, decades later, very few of those couples are still together.
Yep. Isn't that interesting?
So it's almost like what you see on the outside looking in doesn't necessarily make it a truth. And that's what I've
Yeah,
learned.
careful what you wish for.
The
Exactly.
grass is not always greener on the other side.
Exactly. So with that said, everybody knew that knew Karen and Craig knew that they were going to be successful after they graduated. So they soon married, and they had their first daughter Emily in 1999. And at this point, an opportunity came along for them. Craig was offered a job as the utility director for the town of Waterford, Texas. It was a job that was both well-paying and it was a respectable one. So they settled into a nice home where they had 2 more children, their second daughter Lauren and their son Sean. Now, neighbors said the Kahler family had been a key part of the community. They were always there for people. They were active. Their daughter Emily began attending St. Louis College of Pharmacy, and Lauren was an honor student at Columbia High School. And they both even performed music. They were in a band. They were showcasing their talents around the entire town. So even their kids are doing really well for themselves.
Yeah. Oh no. Hate to see where this is going.
Obviously, because we're the ones discussing this family, all was not what it seemed. One day, Karen's sister Lynn got a call from Karen, who wanted to confide in her about the true state of her marriage. She told Lynn that Craig had changed. He had started giving her curfews, not just the children. And he was making other odd demands, like everyone had to be home when he arrived home. And everyone...
Oh, he's getting a weird control thing, huh?
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, and everyone had a bedtime regardless of their age.
Giving your wife a bedtime, dude, not a good look.
It's fucked up. Now, Karen did everything she was asked to keep the peace, but things were getting worse and she felt trapped and scared.
Right, if she already feels like she needs to keep the peace, something's been a little off for a long time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume hoping it would go away, and then eventually it reaches a point where she has to now confide in her sister.
Yeah.
So Karen told her sister that she wanted to look for an outlet, something that, was just hers that he couldn't control. So she's not looking to leave yet, but she needs something that's just hers.
Poor thing. That's so sad.
So she decided to join a local gym, and this kind of her time at the gym worked around the children's school hours as well as Craig being at work. So she figured out that there was no reason she couldn't go because no one's around, just her.
Right. It's not inconveniencing anyone.
Right. So
but I'm not surprised he's obviously going to get pissed about it. He's like, oh, who are you looking good for?
Well, we'll get to all that in a moment. So she was soon there so much, and she was so eager to learn every aspect of what she was doing that she got the attention of some of the staff, and they eventually offered her a job there as a fitness instructor.
Dang, she really got into it.
How's she going to pull that off if he's being so controlling?
Well, to her surprise, and yours as well, I'm assuming, when she did tell him about it, he was actually okay with it. He said as long as she was still home to look after the children and be there when he got home and all that other bullshit, that he was okay with it. So, one day at work at the gym, Karen met another woman named Sunny Reese. She was another personal trainer, and they clicked really well. The two became inseparable. They were working all their shifts together, and they would spend their entire time just hanging out and talking.
Love a work bestie.
Well, it wasn't long after that this work bestie became a romantic interest.
Oh, okay.
And that
makes sense. Your husband sucks ass, so
exactly.
I know he's nice to you. You're going to get interested in it. Makes sense.
Exactly. And the two then soon began an affair. Now, Karen's sister Lynn said that she felt that Karen was so mentally beaten down at that point that when she found someone that seemed to genuinely care about her and who didn't want to control her, the relationship probably just fell together naturally, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Now, Karen felt an immense amount of guilt about this, and she felt that she needed to tell Craig everything.
No.
I'm going to ask you what you guys think is going to happen next.
She's gonna get beat or locked in a room somewhere, or
he's
he's
gonna
go-
say, "Can I join you?"
So
or he takes it out on the kids.
to Karen's utter shock, Craig didn't have any issue with it. And in fact, he encouraged it and was soon messaging Sunny himself, sending her flowers, and as Joyous saw coming, asking for a threesome.
You're
Oh God.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't see that coming, Jameson.
I don't know. He's very diabolical and very full of hatred. So I was expecting
He's
him to
also
lash out.
but he's also a narcissist. So it's all about him.
True.
Yeah, I guess he hasn't dated as many men as I have. Where I'm like, yeah, man finds out about that, I know exactly what's going on.
I'm gonna assume Jameson hasn't dated any men, but I could be wrong.
I have not.
Yeah, I mean, which is by default fewer than me.
Right. Right.
0 is fewer than whatever mine.
Right. You don't have to tell us your body count. You're good. Let's get back to this.
Anyway.
Okay. So, of course, Craig is interested in a threesome with the two women, but Karen and Sunny, they wanted no part of a threesome. They wanted it to just be about them.
Mm-hmm.
So, as one would imagine, Jameson's first guess becomes the second reaction. Craig is furious at the rejection. And now that he knows there's no chance of bringing a second woman into his marriage, he wanted to stop the affair.
Yeah, that's to be expected.
So the women, however, continued on with the relationship, and it seemed like Karen now wanted out of her marriage. But after a few months, Craig decided that the best way to put a stop to all of this was to move the family out of town. He started looking for a career change elsewhere and found a new job in Columbia, Missouri. And side note, because it's a strange little fact, he became the highest paid person in that city after this job offer.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah. He was this offer made him a ton of money. It's a strange little note, and it doesn't really factor into most of this, but it's weird. I've never.
But sounds like this move is good for him in multiple ways.
Yeah, this is a good move for him professionally, certainly. So in June of 2008, the family moved 700 miles away to Columbia, Missouri.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. Now, I don't know what her reasons were, but Karen made the move as well. She didn't leave him. She must not have wanted to break up her family or something. Maybe she did it for the kids. I don't know. But she went with him.
She probably has no power. It sounds like she's not working.
Well, she had the job at the gym, but yeah, it's probably not a lot of money, and she's got 3 kids that who knows what the custody battle would have looked like after that point.
He would win because he has all that money,
But he's also the one that's going to be working all the time and not there to take care of the kids. He might not win that.
Yeah, I guess. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I can understand why she would be scared of not winning.
Agreed. Craig hoped that after the move, things would return to normal, with him in control of everything, and he felt confident that affair would come to an end because they're so far away from each other. But Karen and Sunny carried it on anyway.
Wow.
They would email, they would call, they would text, and they would sneak visits, meeting each other halfway. Which is
halfway of 700 miles? What the fuck?
350 miles. I know, that's a long drive. But you know what? Clearly, this was more than just a fling.
Yeah. That's a long drive, and then on the way back, how are you sneaking that?
Right, that's definite dedication.
Yeah, my guess is with the girls being in their teens and Sean being young, she was probably enlisting the girls to watch the boy, and maybe he's working. Who knows? But she's clearly not participating in his bullshit as much.
Yep.
So at some point, obviously, their marriage just went to a really bad and toxic place. So on New Year's Eve, the Kahlers were attending a party back in Weatherford, Texas, where they were from, and Sunny was there. At various points during the party, some guests saw Karen and Sunny interacting with each other, and it became extremely obvious that something was going on between the two of them. So what
They're
had
not subtle.
so what had been a secret between Craig, Karen, and Sonny was now out in the open because some guests literally caught the two women kissing. Craig was mortified.
I bet, because now he's embarrassed on top of all his other controlling shit.
Exactly. And I got to be honest, I'm not a jealous guy, but if my significant other was making out with someone else, even if it was like, because the problem here is, even if it's an open marriage or an open relationship, if no one else at that party has any idea, that's just a bad look.
It is a bad look. You don't do that.
I'd be pissed, but obviously not quite to the level fucking Craig is.
Also, like, flagrantly having an affair at
Yeah.
the same party.
Yeah,
that's pretty whack.
Yeah, but at the same time, who knows how long? I'm trying to justify it in my head. Like, who knows how long they saw each other, how long it had been. You know what I mean? Like, if they were probably just excited. But you'd think, like, leave the party, sneak out.
Right, like, be subtle.
So a huge fight broke out between Craig and Karen, and it was carried on as they left the party. Karen said that Craig pushed her so hard that she smashed her head on the ground when she fell to the street.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So a couple days later, Karen told Craig she was finally filing for a divorce. She had had enough of his shit. Craig then spent hours calling Karen's family and friends, asking them to convince her not to go ahead with the divorce, which I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So Sunny, being the girlfriend of Karen, started to contact Craig, telling him to leave Karen alone and that she was never happy with him.
Ooh.
Yeah, that probably not going over well with Craig, just saying.
Yup.
So come March of 2009, things escalated even more after an argument between the two of them became physical. Craig was arrested, and he told the police that he had only hugged Karen tightly and that she had resisted.
Huh.
Now,
Well,
that's a load of
likely
crap.
fucking story, dude.
Yeah.
Well, Karen's story is that, and this is most likely the truth, let's be honest, that he put his arms out to give her a hug, and she refused and was walking away, and he kept encroaching on her until she had nowhere else to go, at which point he hugged her tightly and even grabbed her violently to pull her into this hug, and he literally left bruises on her from holding her. So, yeah, maybe he quote-unquote hugged her, but there's more to it than that.
Right, that's not just a hug, buddy. A hug that leaves a bruise is crazy.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's like
That's approaching like strangulation vibes.
Well, I was also gonna say it's also restraint. Like, what's the word when you're illegally restraining somebody?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't even know.
I don't know the word, but I know what you're talking about.
So Karen also gave a statement to police and said that over time it had become apparent to her how controlling Craig was. Karen had learned along the way that he was capable of using force. She said the issues varied, but she had figured out how to keep things from becoming ugly. She said when money was the problem, she wouldn't tell him how much things cost. So like when she went to the grocery store, she wouldn't tell him about those things. She said when it was about sex, she realized it was easier to just give him what he wanted every night rather than refuse him.
Oh, that's so sad.
She said on the occasions where she would refuse, he would become forceful and mean.
Oh.
Karen said she was afraid it would escalate so far that someone was going to be seriously hurt. And this is what she reported to the police. So Karen pressed charges, and she and the children moved out of the house. People that knew Craig said that after this, he became reclusive and erratic. He no longer wanted anything to do with his daughters, Emily and Lauren. He only wanted to see his son, Sean.
Oh, that's whack as fuck.
Well, he claimed that his daughters had failed him by taking their mother's side.
Classic.
And this, of course, was only exacerbated when Lauren and Emily both said that they had accepted Sonny and that they just wanted to see their mother happy. So, of course, for a narcissist like Craig, he became enraged and he began referring to his daughters as rotten corpses.
What?
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Yeah. What the fuck? Now, at this point, friends said that he started stalking Karen and spying on her. And,
Oof.
and things were starting to spiral out of control so far that one day police were called to Karen's house because she found Craig. She basically found out that he had slashed her tires and he was ripping cables out of her house because he was trying to install cameras.
What the hell?
Jesus fuck.
To continue his stalking, he started missing more time from work. At first, it was a vacation. Then it was calling out sick. And then it was just leaving altogether.
So it's all consuming now.
Yeah. And when he was there, he sat there showing his colleagues family albums over and over.
That doesn't scream scary.
Not at all. It really, that's a lot of red flags. So finally, Craig's manager quietly asked him to resign.
Woof. So now he's lost everything and he's going to lose his mind.
His boss paid him 2 months' salary and a month's severance. But with no other job prospects, Craig had to move back in with his parents.
Oh, and that's just going to be the final humiliation.
Yep. I can't, again, I've changed my life around a lot over the years. And, you know, sometimes you make these calls you take a few steps back for the betterment of it. But this, never to this degree. So.
Yeah, that's a real backslide. People don't usually react well to that.
No, not at all. Not when they can blame someone for it.
Precisely.
So Karen and Craig were now legally separated, and Craig had to pay Karen over $3,000 a month in child support.
Ooh.
Add that to losing your job and having to move back in with your parents. But that's
pretty miserable.
And it also says a lot about how much he was making if that was his monthly child support payments.
Right.
So now we jump to Thanksgiving 2009. Karen, Sonny, and the 2 girls spent the holiday at Karen's sister Lynn's house. Sean had spent that day with Craig. But Karen wanted all her children together so she could visit her grandmother, Dorothy, over the holiday as well. Now keep in mind, Dorothy is the great-grandmother of the children, Emily, Lauren, and Sean. So the next day, she went over to pick up Sean so that they could make their way to her grandmother's house, who was 89 years old. And she lived on a quiet little farmhouse in Burlingame, Kansas. Despite Karen and Craig's many arguments and fights about the divorce, questions about where the children would live, and issues with finances, Karen was hopeful that they would still be able to resolve everything. Craig was just days away from having to go to court in regards to his arrest for his stalking charges, and the hearing for their divorce had been scheduled for January. Again, Karen's really optimistic that things are going to move forward in a good way as soon as the holidays are over.
Good way for her.
On Saturday, the 29th of November, 2009, Deputy Sheriff Nathan Perlin was finishing up some paperwork in his office when a call came in about a suspicious vehicle. It was just after 6 p.m., and someone had reported that a small truck was speeding around their house. They had watched a man, as he pulled up, got out of the truck, and started walking down the road. He was then seen coming back carrying a large object that they couldn't identify. Thinking that he might be stealing, they hurried outside to confront the man. However, he ignored them, placed the object in his back seat, got in his truck, and just drove off without acknowledging them as they approached him.
I hope this object is not a corpse.
The deputy set off to see what was going on, but just a couple minutes later, another call came in over the radio. It was coming from the same area, but this one was a bit more alarming. The caller was shouting, "Help, help, someone is coming in to kill us." And then the line went dead. Soon after, they received another awful call, this one from a third person. This person stated that they had opened their front door to find a 10-year-old boy crying and asking for help.
That sucks.
It was Sean Kahler. He said he needed help at Dorothy White's house as there had been a shooting. Officers said that they knew it was going to be a bad scene, but nothing quite prepared them for what they were about to find.
Yeah, nothing good.
When they entered the house, the first thing they found was 89-year-old Dorothy.
Oh shit.
No.
She was bleeding badly on the kitchen floor. She had been shot several times, but she was still alive.
That's a miracle.
They then found Karen Kahler in the kitchen. She was dead, having been shot once in the chest and once in the head.
Oh.
They then found 18-year-old Emily dead behind the sofa in the living room where she had tried to hide, but she had also been shot twice.
Oh.
The deputy then heard a faint voice calling for help from upstairs. It was Lauren. When he ran up, she said to him, "I don't want to die." He asked her, "Who did this to you?" And she said, "It's my dad."
Oh.
Dorothy also identified Craig as the shooter. Tragically, Lauren succumbed to her injuries and was pronounced dead shortly after getting to the hospital.
Oh
Oh.
man.
And at the time, Dorothy was still fighting, but things didn't look hopeful. It was after police spoke to Sean that they realized that he had witnessed his mother's death.
Oh.
Police put out an alert to try to locate Craig when a town resident spotted someone abandoning their vehicle in the middle of nowhere and running down a deserted road, so they called it in. Police found the vehicle, and it matched the description of the one the neighbors had seen earlier that night, and they felt confident that it was Craig's. A search of the car found ammunition and some unopened anxiety medications.
Oh.
There was also a backpack, and inside were bars of soap, toilet paper, cotton balls, and some cans of food, but Craig was nowhere to be found.
Sounds like he's living out of his truck.
Sounds like he was planning on living on the run.
Yeah.
After 8 hours of searching, Craig was finally found as he was wandering on the side of the road looking confused and lost. When police approached him, he turned to the officers and simply said, "I'm the guy you're looking for." Fucking
Wow, he
scumbag.
gave up just like that.
Yeah, fucking scumbag. He realized he couldn't really live off the land or something. I don't know what he thought he was going to do. So he told the police officers that he was armed with a revolver as well as some pocket knives. And they also found hundreds of dollars in cash, gloves, a flashlight, and a hunting bag. He was then arrested and taken into the station. Craig told the detectives everything. He blamed
Without a fight?
Without
Come
a
on.
fight. Without a fight. He's a narcissist. Come on. Don't you remember Gacy told police that after he killed these people, their bodies belonged to him? I mean, he's a fucking
Yeah,
narcissist.
He's bragging.
Yeah.
I like when they fuck with them a little bit.
Yeah, no, this guy didn't do all that. Instead, he blamed the entire thing on Karen's relationship with Sonny. So,
Classic.
yeah, it's never my fault. It's somebody else. Yeah.
Nothing's ever a narcissist's fault.
No, exactly. Nothing. So Craig was charged with first-degree murder and aggravated burglary, which I find funny that they would tack that on, but you go you. You do you,
What
Kansas.
did he steal?
I think it was just the breaking into the house.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's just what's listed. I don't know. So
He stole people's lives.
So his bail was set for $10 million.
Holy hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he has a lot of money, so I can sort of see, even though he's not working, he's still got money, so I can see why they would do that.
Right.
So sadly,
Bail is stupid anyway. If you don't want him to get out on bail, then why are you offering bail?
exactly.
Just hold him without bail.
Agreed. And I understand bail, like for someone who's not a violent offender, not a flight risk, yeah, they're going to come back, whatever. But in a situation where you've murdered somebody, there should be no bail.
Right. Why are we letting that happen?
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. And I say this with full awareness that, for example, the Karen Reed case that's happening in Massachusetts right now, or has been happening for a while, she was held without bail for a while. And she was accused of murder, but she's obviously proclaiming her innocence, and who knows how this will all play out in the end. We'll cover that someday, I promise. But she suffered financially for having been kept in jail. So
right,
I can hear both sides.
That's true. That's true.
And even if she is guilty of what she's accused of, it's not like it's first-degree murder where she was out intending to kill someone. So I can see why she doesn't necessarily need to be kept.
Yeah.
She didn't kick in a door and shoot her ex.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a difference there of
Exactly.
when it's acceptable for you either need to hold someone or you don't.
Right, exactly. And despite everything that may or may not happen, a 10-year-old isn't going to lie to police and say his father kicked in a door and shot his mother.
Yep.
Not so likely to happen.
Especially a man who's confessing to it.
Exactly. So, sadly, on the 1st of December, 2 days after she had been shot, Dorothy White also passed away from her injuries.
Oh.
Yep.
This kid has no one left.
In December of 2010, Craig appeared in court and entered his plea. Does anybody want to take a guess?
Not guilty.
By reason of insanity.
There you go. I thought Jameson was going to say that one.
I started it, and I was letting Joyous finish it as well.
Okay. Sure.
Beautiful.
Nice save. Yep. So, insanity. His lawyers claimed that he had a mental breakdown due to Karen's affair, and that mixed with losing his job and having to move back in with his parents, he lost it.
Okay. Yes, and?
So they said that the medication in his car, his ongoing erratic behavior, and the fact that he did not cover up what he had done was evidence that he was not of a sound state of mind.
And he never will be, so put him in jail.
Now, fun fact about the state of Kansas. In 1995, the state of Kansas passed a law which revoked the traditional insanity defense.
Oh, word.
This new law stated that defendants could no longer argue that because of mental health issues that they were incapable of deciding right from wrong.
Kudos to them.
So instead, defendants suffering from mental health issues were still legally responsible for crimes unless these mental health issues prevented them from being able to have intent to commit or to act without premeditation. So,
how do you prove that?
Well, again, that's what the whole court process is about. So his defense team still tried to argue insanity, saying that his mental health issues were so severe that it proved that he could not premeditate anything, that he had just snapped in the moment and committed this crime.
Well, that's very interesting, isn't it?
Well, the prosecution said that it was clearly premeditated, as his behavior over the past year showed escalation. And they pointed out that he did not shoot his son, even though he was right next to his mother.
That he very specifically shot
his targets instead of the one person in that building he actually cared about.
Yup. Pretty damning.
Now, Sean, who was 12 years old at this point, appeared as a key witness via video link and told the court what he had witnessed, which I can't imagine as what the jury was going through in that moment.
Yeah, awful.
That must have been incredibly tough.
Sunny also testified. She described Karen and Craig's relationship as abusive and said Craig wasn't bothered about her and Karen until he realized that he had to let his wife go. So on August 25th, 2011, after only 2 hours of deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous verdict, and they found Craig Kahler guilty of capital murder and that his pleas of insanity were not believed.
That's right.
This meant that come sentencing, he could face the death penalty or life without parole. On the day of his sentencing, fucking scumbag Craig asked if he could be excused from the courtroom so that he didn't have to hear the victim's impact statements.
What a douchebag.
I would have forced him to stay.
Well, they rejected his request.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good.
fuck that. That's the very least you can suffer through, you fuck. Now, there were many victim impact statements, but one of them was Sean. And amazingly, this kid said that he did not want his father to get the death penalty because it would be hard on his grandparents, and he did not want his whole family gone.
Oh my fucking god. This
How
poor
do you?
kid.
Oh my God.
Oh my god.
Now, that's heartbreaking.
That seriously. Oh.
Now, however, Craig Kahler was sentenced to death for his crimes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Even though the son said don't.
Even though his 12-year-old son asked for, leniency, they still went through with it. Upon hearing his fate, Craig showed no remorse, no sadness, just nothing. As Craig left the courtroom to begin his sentence, he shouted to his parents to take care of Sean so that he would not be raised by a bunch of freaks.
What the fuck?
I mean, my guess is he's referring to Karen's side of the family, or he's just being homophobic, maybe?
Yeah, it sounds like a homophobic thing.
Yeah. Now, in prison, Craig started writing letters to people saying that he felt relief for what had happened because he was able to free his son, Sean. Whatever the fuck that means.
Oh.
Yeah, fucking
Ooh.
scumbag.
And this poor kid has to know about that.
Yeah, that's very true. So his lawyers obviously appealed, but his appeals have been denied. He tried to appeal in 2018 and in 2020, but each of those, again, were denied.
Good.
In January of 2023, another appeal has been launched, and this might be his last chance. I tried looking up any updated information, but it keeps getting pushed back. From what I gather, he's trying to say that his lawyers didn't do enough to defend him, like they didn't do their jobs. But the courts are firing back, saying that they were there during jury selection, they were there presenting evidence, and that there's no real reason to look at it. But right now, it's sort of up in limbo. And
once again, blaming everybody but himself.
Exactly. And because he's not yet out of all of his legal options, there is no execution date that's been set. So as of right now...
Well, then he can serve life in prison until then.
Exactly.
Good for him. Have fun. I hope that's great for you, dude.
Exactly. So he's still sitting on death row. And as far as, from what I've been able to find, his son Sean has graduated school and has moved on and lives a private life. And I don't think... I didn't look too deep because I don't think he deserves to be disturbed. He deserves his peace.
100%.
And that is the case of the Kahler family.
What a douchebag.
Fucking awful.
That one was nuts, and it took me a little while to get it all together, but it's something, like I said, I almost did it for Thanksgiving, but I'm like, we ruin enough holidays.
Yeah, for real. We don't need to do that to every holiday.
Yeah, that's not okay. But yeah, this one, it was different, and it's just fucked up. Like what a narcissist can do because he thinks he's entitled.
Yeah, he just thinks he's entitled to own people.
I've been in a lot of relationships, a lot of different types of relationships, but never once has anyone, myself asking of it, or, the woman asking, have we ever been like, you have to go to bed at this time and you have to be home when I get home? Like that whole I want dinner on the table bullshit. What the fuck? This isn't the 1930s,
It's crazy. I've been in one relationship that was really controlling, and it was like, you can't do this, and I don't want you doing that, and I don't want you hanging out with these people, and blah, 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 blah. And that ended very quickly.
I bet. Yeah, as it should have.
But it's like, people really do have a lot of fucking nerve.
They really do. Like my ex-wife and I, we're very good about those things because, one, she didn't speak English as well. So like she didn't enjoy hanging out with all of my friends. She liked all my friends, but because there was less interaction for her and them, it just became, you do your thing, and I'll do mine. And that worked at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've never, ever had someone be like, I don't like this person. You can't spend time with them. And
people are fucking crazy.
Right. And I've never said that. Like I had one ex who she met someone and he was a photographer and wanted to do photos. And I just remembered saying, I just want to meet the guy. Once I meet him, you're good to go. But I would like to meet him before you do this. That's all it was. And, it is what it is. But like, I'm just not that jealous, controlling type. I don't know. Maybe I'm wired differently or something. But I think
Well,
that's
but
Yeah, well, thank goodness for that.
right.
that went beyond jealous and control. I mean, that
Yeah.
was unhealthy what he was doing.
I think he got a taste of control and it was like a drug. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think he made a demand once and they just complied and he just got addicted to it. It's weird. I have no other answer for it.
And it was like that at work for him too, because it sounds like he was pretty high up at whatever he was doing. So
That's true because he was, like I said, when he got that second job, he was the highest paid person in that town or city, and I mean, he was making good money, so he was clearly just used to being in charge. So,
mm-hmm.
and yeah, I just can't fathom looking at someone and being like, "You're gonna do what I fucking say when I fucking say it." I can't even imagine that. So yeah, that's the case of the Kahler family. Thank you everybody for joining us. Once again, I am Janus Dead.
I'm Jameson dead.
And I'm Joyous dead.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.